Major funding for these broadcasts has been provided by grants from New York Community Bank, Capital One Bank, Eastern Consolidated, M&T Bank, Sterling National Bank, Meridian Capital Group, Customers Bank, Aerial Property Advisors, Dime Community Bank, Perfect Building Maintenance. Additional funding has been provided by AKA Hotels Corman Communities, AmTrust Title Insurance Company, AVR Realty Company, Avison Young, Bank of America, Merrill Lynch, Bank Leumi USA, Briarwood Organization, CBRE, Chase Commercial Term Lending, Chase Mortgage Lending, JP Morgan Chase, Citizens Bank, Cohen Equities, Colliers International NYC, Collins Building Services, Connect One Bank, CPEX Real Estate Services, Douglaston Development, Levine Builders, Flushing Bank, Friedman LLP, Handler Real Estate Organization, Handro Properties, Hodges Ward Elliott, Inc., Investors Bank, James D. Kuhn Real Estate Center at Syracuse University, Kilroy Architectural Windows, Madison Realty Capital, Matone Group, Mercantile Bank, New Banks, Newmark Knight Frank, Optimum Window Manufacturing Corp., People's United Bank, Pulcinelli, Rockefeller Group, Rosewood Realty Services, SJP Properties, Stonehenge Partners, TD Bank, Terra CRG, the Knackle Group at Cushman & Wakefield, the Merinkoff Family Foundation, the Moynihan Group, and these friends.
It's called the Gold Coast of New Jersey. There's a place where there's so much residential and commercial development taking place, and we see it happening each and every day. People are going there. There's gentrification. It goes from Bayonne, it goes to Weehawken. So today, with the help of a couple of people, I've assembled this group of business executives to provide their insight on what's happening on the Gold Coast. I have the legendary Carl Goldberg, who's been involved with the Jersey Shore Gold Coast since the early 90s, who is a principal at Canoe Partners. Philip Jessaway, who is the Chief Investment Officer at Strategic Capital. The Senior Partner of CSG, Frank Giatomasi, and last but not least, Jeff Schatz, who is the Executive Vice President of SJP Properties. So, over the past 25 or 30 years, what have we seen happening in that marketplace?
Well, the entirety of the waterfront has changed. A lot of it has to do with a combination of the urbanization of New Jersey, people willing to invest in urban locations. I think a lot of it took place because of the technical ability to remediate historic environmental issues with the land along the Hudson River waterfront that made it suitable for residential development. And maybe most importantly, the creation and implementation of a mass transportation network that really made the Hudson River waterfront function like the sixth borough of Manhattan.
But what have we seen over the last couple of years? You know, we have Philip over here, whose company is owned by a foreign investor, who's made a major commitment to an area where was the initial development in Jersey City, because Newport was the first real change that took place over there, and that took place 30 years ago.
Correct.
What have we seen? Why has a company like Strategic made a decision to go into Jersey City?
Well, I think there's a huge engine that's right across the river that's had incredible growth over the last 5 to 10 years. I think 500,000 jobs were created in New York City over the last 5 years. And those weren't super high-paying jobs, and those people need a place to live. They want a good environment. People come from all across the United States, and their first place that they're thinking of going isn't necessarily living in Manhattan or living in Brooklyn. And Jersey City is a phenomenal environment, and there's been a big change in the demographics there and in the ethnicity of those demographics. And one thing that I've personally seen in Jersey City over the last 5 or 10 years is a massive change towards an Asian population that you didn't have there even 36 months ago like you have today. If you go to Newport and you get on the train and you go to the city, it's like going to Flushing or Chinatown.
So you're
or any
saying that there
Chinese.
has been, I mean, because when you go to Flushing, I mean, and you get on the train, first of all, there's all these different dialects. In Flushing, you don't see a Caucasian. Most of it is, Asian people of different dialects and areas. Have you seen that happen in Jersey City?
Well, I'm watching it happen. We do a lot of work with Philip and his organization, and we're astounded by the global appeal of their project. When I went to the first realtors meeting, JLL coordinated it, and I walked into the room, and Beijing, Shanghai, LA, and there was a great demand. And so, yeah, you've got this globalization of Jersey City that's happening.
Here's an interesting phenomenon that I learned about the Flushing market and the Asian community. The Asian community likes to own property. This is an ownership. They don't like to rent. Even the Chinese restaurants, the merchants, the medical offices in the Flushing area are all owned. They don't have the rental market concept. So if you're seeing that, now there was an article written that even the Hasidic people are going into certain parts of Jersey City.
Well, the big comment for what China Construction Strategic is doing is that it's for sale. It might be the only for sale product that's in Jersey City right now.
You're one of the few.
Yeah, especially new construction. So they've got over 425 units that are for sale. Great prices, great design, great location.
But I think
it's working.
I think part of the benefit is that people want to own again. Interest rates, okay, they've gone up slightly, but it still costs reasonably to own a property. And if you can buy something at a reasonable price with a reasonable maintenance, you could do well. When you built, you initially only built mostly rentals.
Almost exclusively rentals.
Do you see a change today, and I'm going to get to Jeff in a second, going on in that entire market, the Bayonne, the Hudson, the Hoboken, Jersey City? Is there becoming more for sale units taking place?
I think it's still predominantly a rental market because although interest rates have remained low, qualifying for mortgages and the level of the down payment that's required have priced for sale product out of a lot of young people's reach. And so I still think that it's predominantly a rental market, but I think, as Philip and Frank have suggested, when you look to people who are coming from outside the United States to places like Jersey City or the Hudson River waterfront, Weehawken especially, they would like to see for sale product.
Okay, here's the question. Do you see this for sale product being utilized full-time, or is it going to be, as they would say, a pied-à-terre, that they're going to be able to utilize sometimes because they don't need it?
Well, it's a little bit of both. I mean, and frankly, what we're seeing is a lot of people who have been living in rentals in Jersey City. They believe in the market, and they actually believe it's a good investment because they think that the city's growing. And with condominiums and with any house that's expensive and you invest a lot of your life savings, you want to know that you're going to have capital appreciation. And certain people might be afraid of investing in Manhattan luxury right now because they feel like it may be plateaued, it may be flat for a while. But in Jersey City, there have been year-over-year increases of 5%, 7%, and it's year after year after year for 5, 6, 7 years in a row. It's amazing appreciation. So it's Americans, it's Chinese, and I think you have the same, you have similar amount of investors and primary owners that you do in any other condominium project.
Jeff, how long has SJP been involved with Jersey City and Hoboken?
Over 20 years.
Okay, and what are you seeing today? Because you're involved right now. SJP is co-developing with Matt Cowley a planned 1.1 million square foot office tower.
Correct.
What are you seeing, and how has it changed? The tendency that you were talking about and the people? What's going on today in the office market?
There's been a sea change. 25 years ago, 30 years ago, this market was predominantly, if not exclusively, financial related. When the left rack started, Newport, Chase, Citicorp, Deutsche Bank, they all came out and leased space. Today, you've seen a complete diversification of the users, including pharmaceutical, including technology, media, the works.
Pearson is one of your big clients who has Lower Manhattan. I mean, they're in Hudson Square and they're also over there with you.
Well, they pretty much have vacated their space in Hudson Square. They have consolidated most of their operations to Jersey City now.
But we've also seen Jet, the Walmart subsidiary, is right now in your market price over there.
Jet came to Hoboken because Jet was looking for labor. There's no better tech labor for Jet than what is in Hoboken and Jersey City for them.
So what do you see to fill up a 1.1 million square foot office building? What type of tenants and what type of price differential do you see Jersey City, Hoboken compared to Lower Manhattan, to the Hudson Yards and so on?
We're talking to the full gamut of industry, whether it's financial service, as well as tech, as well as pharmaceutical. Even garment has come out to Jersey City recently. We're looking at
manufacturing or garment companies?
Garment companies, office use. And we're seeing rents for existing product in the mid to high 30s on the low side, and for new product, which there hasn't been in over 20 years in Jersey City, we're seeing rents in the low 50s per square foot. But because of the incentive program that's currently in place in New Jersey for companies moving from New York to New Jersey, they're looking at substantial reductions in their occupancy costs by moving from New York to New Jersey.
King of Hudson County. You've been involved with Hudson County for many years, since even going back to the days of being born in, in the Newark Ironbound section. Where do you see the growth? And because Carl, and I want to bring up something in a minute with Carl about Weehawken, where do you see the greatest opportunity for people on the waterfront? Which is the, convenient to the city so people can commute and so on?
So we see things early because as a land use and a development lawyer, we see the contracts and the applications before they become realities. Right now, I would say our biggest demand is actually in Bayonne. We're seeing industrial demand, jobs. We're seeing waterfront utilization, port-related situations, even as far as cruise ship dependent organizations. And we're seeing a lot of housing. There's a lot of new stock going up, rental in Bayonne. So that may be a little bit on the edgy side, but it's a reality. It's really
what is the commute from Bayonne to Manhattan?
Oh, I don't think it's a few more minutes than it is from Jersey City. I don't think you have a big dramatic change to get from Bayonne. It's the end of the light rail.
Absolutely.
You take the light rail. It's the same light rail that brings you down from Weehawken. It's one way or the other, but it takes you all to Jersey City.
What you're also saying is, and this is a definite fact, that the light rail helped New Jersey in many places, especially Jersey City.
There's no doubt the light rail that was developed in the late 1990s as part of an earmark catalyzed the entire redevelopment of the Hudson River waterfront. Absent the light rail to create that north-south movement in conjunction with the ability to cross the river made development in Hudson County possible.
Now, how far does the light rail start?
Its northern terminus is in Weehawken before it goes into Union City, and it goes all the way south to Bayonne. So it goes through Hoboken and Jersey City and into Bayonne, and it provides a total north-south mobility along the entire length of the Hudson River waterfront.
And you've got a bit of east-west as it goes west in Hoboken.
Correct.
And that needs some more development, but that looks like it's going to open up the Jersey City Heights market and the lower Hoboken, the western Hoboken.
Let's talk a little bit about Weehawken. You were saying that the Weehawken has the highest number of permits.
Well, Jersey City has issued the most building permits in the state of New Jersey last year, but Jersey City is a municipality with a population of about 250,000 people. Weehawken currently has a population of about 14,000 people and issued the second most number of building permits in the state of New
So
Jersey.
what do you attribute the resurgence or the taking place in Weehawken?
Well, I think Weehawken, in many ways, has the best views of the Manhattan skyline, and more importantly, as Phil suggested, has the correct balance between rental and for sale communities. So you have Kehavnanian and Lennar and Landsea building for sale communities in Weehawken, and you have Roseland Property Company continuing to build new rentals, along with a real growth in restaurants and retail that's creating a real lifestyle in Weehawken. All of it centered around the New York Waterway Ferry Terminal, which can take you across to either Midtown or the financial sector in 7 or 8 minutes.
The problem that I brought up earlier in the green room was the cost of commuting on the ferry system from New Jersey to New York is significantly higher than the cost of the New York City ferry system. Do you see any changes taking place with the current administration and so on?
Well, I don't know if there's anything planned, but your observation and what we talked about is spot on. It is a little bit pricey, and with all of the difficulties in coming in by train or path or otherwise, there's been a big movement towards the ferries.
In the same manner, okay, NYU Langone Medical Center, is headquartered on the East River on 31st Avenue and 34th Street going down there. They took over Lutheran Hospital in Brooklyn, and what they did is they have their own ferry. So the question is, do you see for companies, especially office companies as opposed to the residential, do you see any of the office companies of the Goldman type or the Chase having a ferry to shuttle back their people?
It's all based on scale. If there's a large enough demand, then the ferries will be added, but it's really scale.
Well, Mount Cali, for example, is applying for a permit to open a ferry that would service directly their office complex in Jersey City. So I think your suggestion is correct. You're going to see some of the large tenants along the Hudson River
because I
apply
think that's
for and
important.
operate their own
It's very
ferry.
important. So you're listening to this conversation. You have a major development in Jersey City. Where do you think you'd go next in this marketplace?
I think that the outskirts of Jersey City are like any other outskirt. I mean, I think downtown New Jersey has become expensive, and we're seeing, $1,000 a square foot condominium prices and $50, $60 a foot rents. And I think people who may have moved to this market for a really affordable alternative are maybe getting priced out of that. And a lot of young people who may have new jobs. So those people are getting pushed to the southern end of Jersey City, maybe just where the Science Center is. We like the western parts of Jersey City. Really any outskirt that has a neighborhood with a character where young people might want to live.
What about the Weehawken market that Carl was talking about?
I mean, I'm not as familiar with Weehawken, but we like Jersey City because of the diversity. I think Jersey City is a very diverse market. You have all different sorts of people, and you have a critical mass of urban amenities that both young people and old people really want nowadays. And I think that makes it a very interesting and attractive market.
But we were talking before, and we said why Jersey City is doing better and why Hoboken in certain markets is the live, work, play, and shop and everything else are the retailers. We were talking briefly about the possibility of the Lowe's Theater being resurrected and renovated, similar to what happened in Morristown. Do we see that taking place in the community? Because that's what has helped.
I absolutely see it. I mentioned earlier about more upscale restaurants that are opening up in Hoboken. There's an affluence in Hoboken that's demanding a little bit better shopping. There's now your second baby stroller store that's opened in Hoboken, which is another sign of an aging population, right? They're not moving to the suburbs. They're buying the condo next door, or they're buying a bigger unit, and so you're raising families. Some of the schools in downtown Jersey City have increased in their evaluative remarks, and they're just doing better and better. I think, live, work, play, it's all about Jersey
a number
City.
of years ago, one of my first shows, which we're in the 17th season now, on Jersey City, I had one of the young members of the Lefrak family, and I had some other people, and they were talking the biggest problem that they had 15 years ago or 12 years ago was you didn't have the good schools. You didn't have that opportunity. So some of the landlords were subsidizing the cost of schools, or even daycare and office buildings or something else. How are the schools today? I mean, because if you want to get people to stay there with the baby carriages, you have to have your schools over there. I mean, your colleges have gotten better. The Jersey City Community College, the colleges in New Jersey are all in general. Carl?
I think the high schools in Weehawken, for example, are very, very highly regarded. And I was talking to Mayor Turner a month or so ago about the college placements that were successfully achieved by Weehawken High School, and they had many kids that were accepted to Ivy League or Ivy League equivalent schools. So I think there has been a concurrent increase in the quality of public education in the communities along the Hudson River waterfront, as well as the growth of charter schools. So I think you do have options for young families to stay. But I do want to go back to something Frank said in the green room, which I think is equally important. Especially in Jersey City, you're seeing an explosion of quality restaurants. So there's the complete lifestyle component for young families to induce them to stay, because it's really now full in-town living. If you live in Jersey City, you live in Weehawken, there's a Capitol Grill that's opening in Weehawken in conjunction with the new hotel being built by the ferry terminal. So you're seeing the complete complement of live, work, play, and even live, work, play, and study, as you see certain colleges opening satellite offices
So
in these communities.
here's a question.
As well.
You know, two topics that are on the conversation of millennials and on all of office complexes. Like, you built these buildings years ago. Today, you may be thinking of co-working. You may be thinking of different layouts in your office space in the apartments. What we were talking about at the Irby, smaller apartments, the We Live apartments. Do you see that taking place, or is that gentrification of that type of co-working and co-living taking place on the waterfront?
Well, in the office market, there's definitely a move towards densification. Unfortunately, the buildings that we have built over the years along the Jersey City waterfront have been infrastructured such a way that they can accommodate today's demands. 20 years ago, 25 years ago, these buildings were supplying space at 1 per 250 square feet.
And now it's
Today
180.
it's 1 per 150, even in some cases 1 per 100 square feet. So the densification has definitely had a major impact on the office market in Jersey City and on the waterfront in general.
What about the co-working and co-living taking place on the Hudson County in the other areas over there? You know, are you seeing that? Or, I mean, there was some micro units besides the Irby, which is not in my mind the micro development. It's 500 square feet. There was a couple of people trying to build the 300 square foot units in Jersey City.
I can only respond quickly by saying we chatted about this earlier too. There's this dichotomy in the Gold Coast, and yeah, there's building smaller units and there's building, you know, more congested workplaces, but that's aiming towards that millennial group. You can't forget that these are expensive, unique locations, and I always say, we said it earlier, the closer you get to the water, the older the occupant gets, and it's a more wealthy, affluent. So that's where you've got this, you know, need to have a good cheeseburger place to go to, and a Del Frisco's to go have a steak that Jeff produced. It's a diverse blend of total spectrum, ethnic and financial, the ability to live there.
When did Bayonne come on the map as a new area of development?
I think with the creation of a planned development for the military ocean terminal, that was a very underutilized peninsula that jutted out in the Hudson River. And once development opportunities took place there, with spectacular views of lower Manhattan, as well as Frank suggested, the transportation opportunities to get to Manhattan, Bayonne became the hot place to build, and a slightly lower price alternative.
So here's a question. In Manhattan today, there are two luxury senior housing developments taking place. With the aging baby boomer, with the fact that people want to have their families closer, it sounds to me that many of these cities who are on the waterfront, okay, especially Weehawken as a good opportunity, would be a great place for over the senior housing development, not the 55 and over community. I'm talking about the senior housing that has luxury in there and everything else. Do you see that possibly taking place?
I think it's got to happen. I think it's the natural next step. I think that people look. I'm attracted more and more myself to moving from the suburbs to a Hoboken or to a downtown Jersey City. And I'm attracted because of what's coming. I'm attracted because of the quality, because of the ambiance, and because of the lifestyle that's there. The dry cleaners are there. The stores are there. You don't have to travel. Look, it's not easy to get in and out.
I remember having Larry Silverstein on the show and say, Larry said to me, I'm moving from Park Avenue and I'm moving down to the Four Seasons over there. Do you see potentially a Four Seasons hotel or a 4.5, 5-star hotel opening up in these communities?
The W has half condominiums, the top 10 floors, and the lower 10 floors in Hoboken, and very successful and very pricey and very, very luxurious. So that's the first one. That arrow's in the ground.
And there's a new hotel nearing completion in Weehawken by the Weehawken Ferry Terminal. That's a 4-star hotel that will include, as I suggested, a Capitol Grill, but more importantly, banquet facilities. So you'll start seeing weddings, bar and bat mitzvahs, and other kinds of full-service events. So I think there is a maturation of the hospitality industry.
Do we
along the
see
riverfront.
possibility of what happened in Secaucus with the outlet centers in these other areas? I mean, today we have a potential. We do have a outlet center opening up next year in Staten Island. My comment to everybody on the Staten Island is I can go to New Jersey if I'm buying clothing because I don't pay sales tax, so it's a big difference over there. Jersey has always been a heavy retail environment. Do you see in these areas more small retail or larger retail?
I see small retail in Jersey City and Hoboken. You don't have the horizontal regime. Bayonne, you've seen a lot of big box development. Potentially you could have that happen there. There's a lot of land mass that's...
Yeah, they're getting too dense for it. And I think you'll see a Four Seasons or, a very high-end hotel in that market when it gets dense enough. Exactly. One of the good things about all the development that's happening now is it's making Jersey City into a very dense city instead of one that was very spread out. And when a couple more office towers go in and there's a reason for people to need to be, close to those, you'll have all the same amenities that you have in New York City. Now it's easier to go through the tube and go into the city, but that'll change when you get more people. And
when do we have the new extra tube?
I think it's years away yet, and then you're going to have a shutdown of an existing tube while they renovate it. So we've got some challenges there.
And we were saying before, one of the other problems is even though you have the path, you have a lot of people taking a small train across. So I think the gentrification of the trains, the extension of ferries, the possibility of what we're talking about with Matt Cali for their employees or people who go to their properties are going to do there. And I think that you're going to see continued vibrancy in the Hudson County and the waterfront. And I think you're the guys who are involved with that type of involvement. I'd like to thank Carl, Philip, Frank, Jeff, and I'll see you next week.